Well, I'm joined today by Andy from Abstract Flooring. Mate, it is good to see you as always. How is it down there in the mighty bay?
Oh, mate, it's good to see you too. It's currently blue skies as most days down here. Um, and yeah, it's good. Summer's around the corner. Everyone's smiling when the sunshine comes. It's good. It's good vibes.
Yeah, it's what we like to see. Do you want to tell everybody just briefly, and to start with, what it is that you do for business?
Yeah. So I own a company called Abstract Floors. We're timber flooring specialists. So we do everything from renovating old floors, floor sanding, through to brand new builds, new houses, and cleaning and maintenance of existing clients as well. So pretty broad spectrum across timber flooring, but very niche in the fact that we just stick to timber. Um, and so yeah, we're based in the Bay of Plenty. We sort of service the greater Tauranga area, and we've been here based in this region for coming up 4 years now, and it's going good. Yeah, it's great.
Nice. And how many years in business? So 4 years in business?
6 years in business. This will be our sixth year in business. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we started in Auckland, a couple of years in Auckland, and then we chose to move down here due to the lifestyle. Really, that was the driving factor. The business was, yeah, sort of came second in that respect. And it's been a bit challenging with COVID thrown in there and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, I feel like it's been a lot of hard work over the last few years, but I feel like we're starting to see the fruits of all that hard mahi and all that hard work to expand the network and get the name out. So it was kind of like starting the business again, really.
Nice, mate. I think a lot of people have ideas about leaving where they live or heading to a different location for lifestyle as such. How have you found that now that you've sort of settled in where you are? Do you feel like you've achieved what you were hoping to get when you drove out of Auckland, or however you left Auckland on that final day, probably thinking, what are we doing?
Yeah, I think it has been a few years to get to this point, but yeah, I could definitely say now that we've achieved what we had hoped. Our life looks what we had hoped it would. Our life is what we had hoped it would be now. Yeah, but there was definitely moments of like, oh, what have we done? Like, just especially just packing up a business and leaving. Essentially, I just said to my clients like, sorry guys, I'm out of here. It's been nice knowing you, and there was definitely some of my builders that were like, what are you doing? Are you crazy? This is mental. We've got X amount of work lined up together. Like, what are you doing? But yeah, we're kind of lucky. I'm a tradie, and then my wife's a teacher, so those two professions lend itself well to shifting to the regions. It's through talking to all of my buddies and stuff. There's a lot of them that they would love this lifestyle, or they would love to live outside of Auckland, but through their professions they just can't. It's a lot harder. They would have to make a bigger sacrifice than what we did.
Yeah, nice. I actually, going to be
So
honest, mate, I was on Trade Me last night having a look at available stock down there in Mount Maunganui.
the amount.
Dreaming, thinking, wow, is that the spot? Yeah.
Yeah,
So
one day. You've talked about it a few times, eh?
yeah, I have, mate.
It's
So yeah, I might
it's
come
a
and
pretty
stay at your
special.
place.
Hmm. Mate, the door's always open for sure.
Yeah, good man.
Yeah, it is a pretty special part of the country, eh? But I mean, I think there's lots of places around Nelson and Coromandel. I mean, you name it. It's
Mm.
just it's definitely a slower pace of life. Not that I grew up in Auckland. I'm an Auckland boy on the shore, so um, I don't. It's not that I don't. Not that I particularly dislike Auckland, but after having a couple of kids and the lifestyle, everything changes. Your priorities change, right?
Yeah.
So down here, being close to the beach and having everyone has a little bit more time for each other down here, I think, which is nice.
Yeah, nice. I certainly notice that when I get down there, especially in that business community. But yeah, I think it's cool to, for people to actually hear from somebody who has up and left it all, especially when you've got everything going your way and you've got your future mapped out, you've got work to come, and to think actually we want a change of pace, we want a different lifestyle, and to actually commit to that, go down there, take the risk, and to effectively have to rebuild from scratch. I guess it's, probably take it for granted, but it's pretty inspiring that it can be done. And like you said, it takes a few years to really break the back of it and then get what it is that you sought to get. But at the same time, it is possible. So awesome to hear. Mate, I want to ask about when you got in touch with us, and what it was that you were seeking some support and guidance with, if you can take yourself back to then.
Yeah, sure. So I just trying to think how I got onto you and Phil, and I think it was through the podcast. So I think it was through Keep the Change, and then from there I jumped across to nextAdvisory podcast and just started like devouring that. Just absolutely loved that there was something out there that was speaking to me, that was so good. And then I reached out to. So at that time I had you were not the first person. I had actually talked to a couple of other like mentorship type programs or people that sort of offered that a similar type thing. And so I was just feeling out some people out. I really wanted, what did I want to achieve? I guess I really wanted to take the business to the next level. And I felt like I was really lacking in knowledge in a lot of basic kind of areas of the business, particularly around the numbers and stuff. Like I felt like I had a good handle on who my clients were and who I was trying to target and that sort of stuff. But just the rest of it, coming from a trade background, I didn't come from the business world, so it was all kind of scary to me. I just felt
Yeah.
like if I'm going to take the next step, I need to educate myself, or I need someone to help me to take that step. Yeah.
Nice. I still remember you're probably one of the fastest people to text back and be like, let's do this. Because I said, well, I'm actually coming down for a stag do. I could come and meet you in person and we can get stuck into this. And I think you replied, you were like, let's do this, book the flight. And I was like, oh, okay, yeah, right. On to the New Zealand I go.
It seems to be how my brain works. Like if we're going to do it, stop thinking about it. Let's do it.
Yeah, nice.
Commit.
Yeah. What were your expectations of what you might have gotten out of the 90 days is what we did. We did some planning together over 90 days. And I'll take people through some context of what that looks like in a second. But what were your initial expectations of what you were hoping to achieve from that, or what you thought you might gain from going through that process?
I guess I was hoping to get some guidance, first off, some clarity of the business and the way money sort of shifted in and out. And I wanted, I guess I just wanted someone to I just wanted someone to talk through some of those ideas with as well, right? Because like, as much as I love my wife, she's just sick of talking about flooring. And there are some very, it can be quite a lonely place sometimes. And I guess I wanted some confidence, to push forward and to look at hiring staff and doing all that sort of stuff. So maybe I just wanted confidence as well. It was a bit scary.
Yeah, I remember you picked me up from the airport and we went to your place. It sounds quite awkward, doesn't it? But we sat down, but don't worry, people, we got the spreadsheet straight out, and cash flow was a big part.
5-star treatment.
Yeah, cash flow was a big part of what we were looking at, right? So trying to get clear on what your numbers were saying and what they were saying into the future to give you a bit of clarity and confidence around what you were doing and that it was working.
Yeah, absolutely. And you were the first person that I had ever talked to that just actually said, "Hey, you're doing a good job. Like it's like you're doing well. You've got a good business here." And that was like really, might just be one small little sentence, but for me that was really powerful. That was like validation. And you shouldn't need external validation and all those sorts of things, but sometimes you just do.
Yeah.
That was really profound for me.
Yeah, it's cool. It's always interesting seeing what clients get out of, working with us in different conversations. And like you say, it can be just small things like that, because I think we can all get caught up in comparing ourselves to other businesses and wondering what other people are pricing and how are they doing it for that rate, or am I too expensive? Am I too cheap? Instead of focusing on what we do. So, it's good, I think, if you can, to get an objective perspective, and especially if they're saying, hey, and I've had this a number of times where clients have said, shit, I just needed to be told that we were doing the right thing. And now we know that we can put the foot on the gas a bit more. We've got a bit of confidence, and they just need to hear it from somebody else.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would
So
agree.
you've gone through a bit of an iteration of your business through the 90-day period and beyond that as well, because for context, as I said before, so 90-day planning, often the client like Andy will do some pre-work, and then we'll sit down for 2 to 3 hours and build out a bit of a plan for the next 90 days and beyond as well, but build out an action plan and have a look at a big deep dive really of the business, and try and wrap some support and information around the business owner to help them understand more about their business and what other things they could be thinking about, so that they're focusing on what they need to. And for you, mate, I think you were at that crossroads a little bit of adding in people, and how do you do that, and tactically doing that, and what's it going to look like, cash flow wise. So we were able, once we built that cash flow model, to sort of go through and look at all those things, weren't we?
Yeah, absolutely. That cash flow forecasting was so valuable. And just knowing that actually it's not as scary as you think. Like the numbers are saying that you can support, I think it was X amount of months. If you didn't increase your revenue and you still took someone on, you've still got this amount of time, and I remember thinking, that's ages. Like, surely I can go out and find some more work in that time,
Yeah.
but until because cash flow comes in and goes out, and in some months you feel like you're king of the world, and some months you feel like, where did it all go? Like, what's going on? It can be quite a roller coaster. So having that clarity and like mapping that out, that was awesome.
Yeah, I think I quite enjoy doing that when, especially, for a business that's got a cash buffer, or well disciplined at moving their money around, to show them, right, if you hired somebody and add in what is quite, because it's quite scary to add somebody in, right? But then to look at the financial side and say, okay, you can probably get through X amount of months without increasing your revenue, and still have money in the bank. Now, what's stopping us from hiring somebody?
Yeah.
And to think that, you're going to add someone in and not either get your time back or increase your revenue just doesn't make logical sense, right? And, I think once you know that, then you have a lot more confidence to take action, whether it be purchasing equipment or adding in another person.
Yeah, it's just it demystifies it a little bit. Well, it did for me. That's what I felt like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you find that through that 90 days, so we caught up 6 weeks into it, did you feel like after I left the first session that we had together, that there was an overwhelming amount to do, or what did you think after that?
I don't remember feeling overwhelmed. I remember feeling like there was a bunch of things that we had talked about, and in the back of my head I was like, I kind of knew that you were going to tell me to do those things.
Yeah.
There was
Yeah.
like that feeling of like, oh, now I've got to go and do that. Like that was, and I've been putting these off because they're hard.
Mm.
And then,
Yeah.
so, but 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 I had committed both my time and financially, so I was like, I'm going to get the most out of this. So it's almost like another push to make sure you actually do your homework and do all the steps and things that we talked about. But I don't remember it being overwhelming. It wasn't like a massive list of, here, change everything, start getting up at 4 a.m. You're going to have to do cold plunges. And, it was just a few things that were just logical. And it was, just needed a bit of a kick up the arse.
Yeah, nice. The cold plunges came at week 6. So
Yeah, compulsory.
yeah. Yeah, I think it's such a good point because I think, there's so much free information on the internet these days, and sometimes we can, assume that we know what we need to do, or, what's the point of paying somebody if I can listen to podcasts and do things like this. But, we have a bit of a saying that people who pay attention. And you're right, once you start putting your money where your mouth is as such, or you start investing in yourself, then you flick the switch to, okay, I'm going to take this more seriously. I want to recover this money. I need to, be held accountable, and I need to get these things done, even if you partly knew that you needed to do them. So yeah, I think, what would you say to people who sort of teeter on the edge of, do I spend the money? Don't I? Whether it be with us or just anybody, in terms of trying to improve their business nous and experience and knowledge.
I just think I've always had the mindset of that there's got to be a certain amount of money every year that I'm putting towards professional or personal development in the business side, whether it's to help with my craft, whatever industry you're in. For me, I've done, different training bits and pieces. So in my head, I justified that as this for, that is how I'm allocating this money for this period of time, and this is my personal or professional development. So I don't know if you're not if someone doesn't think like that, maybe it would it's hard to convince somebody that there's value in it if you know what I mean. Like if they don't see it, they don't see it. But
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. That's not a very convincing argument. But
You
like
have to be
yeah,
ready. I think you have to
yeah,
be ready as well.
totally.
Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely, and there is, like you say, it's very true. Like once you put your money there, like you're gonna do it. You're gonna get something out of it,
Yeah.
because you would just otherwise you're gonna be so gutted
Mm.
if you didn't. And we've all had those stories of like, I did the whole Google Ads thing a couple of years ago, and I just didn't. I signed up for a few $1,000s of this, that, and the other, and they upsold me a whole bunch of stuff, and I just didn't really. I got nothing out of it. I felt like I got nothing out of it, and it's still a sore point even now.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
and it, so yeah, I don't know. Does that
Yeah, that's
kind of
fine.
answer your question?
Yeah, I think as well, like I said before, it comes back to the business owner's got to be ready. But sometimes we are ready, but we don't know we are. We're just scared to let go of the money. And I had someone say to me yesterday, mate, I'm going to be honest with you, that sounds like a lot of money to me. And I said, look, well, it is, and it's an investment, and you're paying for education that you don't have, and we'll help you make it back. And I haven't heard back from them yet, so I'll keep you posted on that one, mate. But do
Yeah.
you feel like you got a return on your investment into yourself?
Yes, 100%. Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely. I think there are a lot of different things that kind of have happened over the last year. Um, so it's very hard. I guess it's one of those things that's it's hard to quantify. But yeah, absolutely. Just in knowledge and confidence, clarity. I've got my first staff member now, and we're looking at hiring number two. There's lots of things. There's been a real mindset shift for me. Remember, we talked about it a little while ago,
yeah,
from like being a tradie to being a business owner, right? And that was all part of that 90-day for me. It was all just eventually I got there, but I just needed a bit of help to get, to shift across. And
yeah,
so that completely sets me up now for the next 5 or 10 years, or probably for the next couple of years, and then I'll have it, then I'll need to adjust and change again, and that's how it
Mm.
goes. But yeah, it was super valuable for me.
How have you found that mindset shift to then actually tactically becoming that person too that goes, right, I need to be a business owner, not just a tradie here, and now I need to worry about a team and scheduling and enough work for them, and then cash flow as always, and all those things that come with staff. How's it gone from making that transition?
It's tricky. Yeah, it's tricky. And I would say I'm not there yet. I'm still in the trenches a bit. I still need to remove myself a bit more from the day to day. And it's very hard letting go.
Yeah.
I've realized I'm a real perfectionist, like it's hard when you're really proud of what you do in your work. So that's just something that, yeah, I'll get there. Um,
Yeah.
and so yeah, I'd say it's a work in progress, but it's great. There are times, there are little moments where all of a sudden I'll have like my time back and I'll be able to do, I'm going to call that client. I've always, I've driven past their sign 10 times and I'm going to call them because I'm just in that state of mind that's maybe a little bit calmer,
Mm.
or I'm not just rushing to the next job or rushing to the next job. I'm like, right, I've got a bit of time. I can actually work on the business, do this, that, or the other.
Yeah.
Um, and I love that. It's such a nice feeling.
Nice.
So yeah, we'll get there. I
Yeah.
think I think it's a forever quest, right? Like, what does
Definitely.
your perfect day look like? It's like, and that's what I'm working towards, is that perfect day.
Yeah, yeah, and you're juggling so many things, and yeah, that was obviously a lot of what we discussed when we were going through the 90-day program. Was basically getting you time back so that you could focus on doing some of the business development things that you're not even getting to turn over those stones at that stage. And we were thinking, wow, what's under those stones if you just had some time to turn them over? But often we can see what we know we need to do, but we're not in the right headspace or have the energy, and so then we make the 11th drive past that same sign and go, okay, well, yeah, that would be great. It would be great if I had somebody. I'd definitely ring them. But then to actually, do it once you do have that time, it's a pretty cool feeling. Hey.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, and because you have like this vision, I guess everyone has a vision of what they when they first went into business. That you've got this goal or this some sort of a vision of what your life is going to be like.
Mm.
And I'm guessing most 9 times out of 10, it's a lot harder than everyone kind of envisages when they first go into it.
Yeah.
Um, so it's nice to that. I think that, yeah, like the real value for me from doing the 90-day plan was taking a big step towards that, and just like, instead of it being shrouded in mystery of like, how do I get from where I am to there? I just have no idea. Like, I just really don't know. I can keep grinding, but I can only work so many hours a day. I can only work so many Saturdays.
Yeah.
Like, my kids are getting older and this isn't quite working for me. So yeah, just that was invaluable, getting a bit of a plan together.
Nice. So you've done a bit of rebranding, mate, because I'm still rocking my old
Oh, look at that.
my old tee
The
here.
man.
Yeah.
Oh, good to see, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was I have done a little bit of rebranding, yeah. Yeah, we've got a new website coming out soon, and um yeah, it's
Nice.
good
Yeah. Good on you. There's always things to be done, right? Business is never ending. It's never finished.
for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think somehow finding like joy in the fact that your to-do list is never completely ticked off,
Yeah.
instead of it being super stressful.
Yeah. Yeah. Enjoying the
But
process, right? And going through
uh,
it and just embracing it.
yeah, it's easy to say, but it's super hard. Hey,
Yeah.
it's super hard,
So
and all the pressures are on you.
what's on the horizon for you, mate? What are we going to see from Andy and from Abstract in the future?
Oh, wow. Well, we're just fitting out a showroom at the moment. So we've got a showroom and a small lockup down in the Mount. So that's really exciting. That's like the next stage of being able to bring clients in and show them kind of what we do, get them hands on, feeling the products uh, um, and that sort of thing, and explaining like the process a bit more. Um, we've got yeah, I mean, I'm booked for the next 4 months straight. So
Nice.
again, we're at that point where I need to it's more staff, really. Yeah,
Mm.
the next step is going to be one or two more staff.
Yeah. So with staff in a business like yours comes capital cost as well, right? Because you've got equipment and now you're looking at space. And then it's okay, looking through to the pipeline and making sure that you've got work coming in. So a number of different pieces of the puzzle that you've got to play the game a lot differently to just basically, does Andy have enough work for himself? And do I have the right equipment? Yep, sweet, done. Send the invoice. Okay, how many more months am I going to do this for?
Yeah,
The game's completely different for you now, eh?
sure. And even just like, if we had let's say I had a bit of a slow month, a slow week, or a job got shifted. It's school holidays right now, right? So let's say if the job got shifted, I would say, oh, sweet, I'm not going to book any work in there. I'll just take the time off with the kids. But, I've got an employee now. I can't just do that. I've made a commitment to him. I've got to provide him with 40 odd hours worth of work every week. So even just stuff like that, there's more of a responsibility now.
Nice.
And in some ways obviously some ways it's more stressful, and in some ways it takes a lot of stress off me. Yeah.
And did you find that, you had enough support from us throughout that 90 days?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I could just, you're great, man. I don't think I've ever had anyone like email and text back as fast as you. Like, you're super responsive. And yeah, you're not like other accountants, like, in a really good way. I mean that in a really good way. Like, you're just very approachable. You never treated me like, never made me feel like I was asking some dumb questions or anything.
Yeah, cool, mate. Appreciate that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think, part of it for me is that, I like to, if I'm working, I like to work. So that means that if a client emails and I see it, then I will respond reasonably quickly because it's probably something you're thinking about. And if I know the answer, we'll then just give the client what they want. But, I know that not everybody rolls like that. And sometimes I go away and stuff and I can't do that. But yeah, I do enjoy that part of it. And I think from my side, mate, it was really cool working with you where I could tell that you're really listening to what I had to say and sort of you wanted to learn. And that was very evident. And then you would have extra questions off of the back of what I was saying. And you were truly trying to understand some of the things that we were talking about, which makes it a lot easier, for the person who's trying to provide the guidance and support as well.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I just wanted to get my value for money, right?
Yeah, good man. Nice. Well, mate, your chance now to leave any nuggets for people or plant any seeds or provide any thoughts that you think might help the odd business owner out there, or people that are maybe cutting out a similar path to you in terms of looking to hire their first or second person, or go to the next level. What would you tell them?
Whoa. That's a hard one. That's such a broad topic. I feel like I've got a million things I could say. I think, one of the biggest things I would say is that, like, you're not alone. There's a lot of other people that are going through this certain period, these same stresses, the same time pressures, family, all of these things. It can feel very much like you're the only one that's going through it, but then that's what's so great about communities like what you guys have built, is because all of a sudden there's like light at the end of the tunnel, and you're starting to hear these stories that are coinciding with what you're going through, and you're like, oh wow, this isn't as it's not just me. So I would say, what would I say? I don't know. That's yeah, doing the planning session with you was all part of that, sort of becoming part of a bit of a community in that respect. Yeah, I felt that. Yeah, I just feel it's fantastic now to be able to say, well, for you guys to be able to text you or email you and say, hey, what's going on here, or what am I, if can I do this, or what do you think about this? And I've got another person in my corner. My team is strong, and it gives me confidence for the future.
Nice, mate. That is brilliant because I'm actually speaking on Friday to an audience about community, and I'm finishing some slides, and I'm trying to distill what community is into about 4 slides. And I've got one final one to finish up. And now I'm going to call it, It's Not Just Me, which is,
Yeah, totally.
yeah. And I think we want to know that, right? Like, we want to know that it's not just us that's going through this, whatever it be in business, or that we're, like you say, not alone. And I think so many business owners do just go it alone because they might be the lone wolf in their pack of friends. And so they can't really talk to them about business because they'll probably hear them out, but they don't know what the solutions are or what that feels like, to be worrying about money and all those types of things that come with business, and staffing issues, and lost a job or got pushed back and you'd spent the money in your head. Who knows? There's so many things. So just being around like-minded people is, super valuable.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's yeah, you're so right. Like all my mates, like as your group of mates, most people they all do different things, right? It is such a very specific, um, it's a very specific thing.
Yeah. Well, thank you, mate. Thank you for your time. I know that you're busy, and you're making things happen, which is cool to see, and keen to stay close and see how things progress for you. I'm sure there'll be some gems in this that will inspire people to go further down their path and on their journey. So thanks again for your time, mate.
You're totally welcome, mate. Yeah, this has been great, and people pay you thousands of dollars to speak, so why wouldn't I come and sit and have a chat to Luke for free? Come on.
There you go. Really talking it up
Awesome,
now.
man.
Appreciate it. All right, I'll end this.